Hey there, self-care warriors. Welcome back to Self-Care Haven. I just got back from a gorgeous yoga class and I'm feeling very calm and centered right now. And I just wanted to make a brief video on something that struck me while I was in yoga. And that is this idea of how do we start to own our true agency? A lot of my videos lately have been speaking about the effects of trauma and how it can rewire our brain and how it can change our neural pathways and how it can really affect not only our behavior but our beliefs about ourselves and the world. So, how do we start to own the agency that we do have? Well, the first step is actually exactly what I said. Own the agency that you feel you have. So, remember, there's going to be a difference between your perceived agency, what you think you can do, versus your actual agency, what you actually might be capable of in this situation. But of course, there's things that are going to hold you back. There's going to be obstacles in your path, both psychological and physical. So we really have to acknowledge that there might be a distinction, but balance that with self-compassion for ourselves. Don't judge yourself if you're not exactly where you want to be in your life right now, and instead practice that self-compassion and practice that non-judgmental stance towards yourself that says, hey, this is where I am right now. I want to take the steps to get to where I want to be, but I'm not going to judge myself for not having taken those steps yet. So the first step is really acknowledging, what can I do with my agency? What can I do with the power that I do have? So let's say you're stuck in a situation where, and this is an example to illustrate this, what if you're stuck in a situation where you're co-parenting with a narcissist and you are forced to maintain contact with someone who has been abusive to you, has mistreated you, and not only that, but you have that extra stress of co-parenting with someone who you don't believe you can really co-parent with. This is someone who is not very functional as an adult, is not emotionally healthy for your children. So what do you do in that situation? Well, if you're thinking about what can I do to own my agency, what can I do to own my power, the first thing that we would probably think is, what can I do to self-soothe and what can I do to take care of myself during this really horrendous time where I'm trying to manage all of these potential stressors and the fact that this person can provoke me. And of course, you have the gray rock method where you can act indifferent to the narcissist, act as if you're very unemotional and you're not provoked by whatever they have to say or do. And that can also be effective for managing your emotions during the situation, or at least putting on some sort of facade that helps you cope with the situation. But then there's other things. Maybe you'll say to yourself, maybe I'll meditate today. Maybe I'll develop a daily habit of meditating to calm myself down, to feel calm and centered every single day. Maybe I'll take up a weekly yoga class that really releases all of the stress inside of my body and helps me to cope emotionally with the stress that I'm going through. Maybe I'll say positive affirmations to myself every day that make me feel as if I can believe in myself. So these are just some examples of ideas that you can come up with to really start to reframe the idea that you don't have any power or agency in the situation. Now, the second step that I would recommend is asking for help. Asking for help is actually not a sign of powerlessness. It's a sign that you recognize your power, that you recognize you have obstacles to navigate, but that you recognize that there's people out there who can help you. Now, maybe you're in a situation where you are socially isolated. Maybe you're in an extremely abusive situation where you're afraid to even leave your house. Maybe you can find support online. Start there. If you can't find support offline, if you feel like nobody understands you, nobody validates you, then find support communities online. The most famous one, of course, is psychopathfree.com, and there's other survivor forums that you can check out to share your story, to help other survivors, and also allow survivors to help you. As long as you allow yourself to receive help, and you open yourself up to receive that kind of help, the help that you're seeking, you will receive it. There's so many survivors out there who may be going through the same situation as you, or at least a similar one, and can really relate to your experiences. So ask for help in any way that you can. Think of different ways that you can ask for help, whether it's offline or online. Can you reach out to a trusted friend who is going to validate you? Again, don't reach out to people you know are not going to validate you, are going to be judgmental, because that's just going to re-traumatize you. Um, and make sure that if you are looking for counselors or you're in counseling, you find someone who's experienced in narcissistic abuse, has been trained in trauma, because an invalidating mental health professional is likely to re-traumatize you if they don't understand and if they are very judgmental about your experiences. So remember to look for a professional who can really meet your needs. And if you need to have a no contact coach, get a no contact coach on the side as well. There's so many different things that you can do during this time to help yourself, but you also have to ask for help. You have to be willing to receive help. And that's a sign that you're actually owning your agency, because you're saying, hey, I see my power to ask for help. I see my power to be willing to receive help. And I see my power to be helped, and to make sure that I get the support that I need during this time, whether it's offline, whether it's online, whether it's joining a support group, whether it's writing on a forum, whether it's calling a trusted friend who is validating, who is supportive, who is non-judgmental. Make sure that you get that help that you need. Sometimes you just need even just physical contact. Maybe you need a hug from someone, and it's okay to ask for a hug from someone you know. And, ask for hugs from friends, family members. Ask for, just a chance to talk and talk about your story. Again, choose the people that are likely to support you, are likely to be validating towards you, and are likely to at least be willing to understand what you're going through, even if they don't quite understand what you're going through. It only takes one listening ear for you to feel understood and heard. And I think that survivor forums are a great way to start for survivors who may be socially isolated, may have social anxiety, or might even just struggle in general with sharing their story with anybody they might know in real life, because oftentimes we feel ashamed. We feel so much toxic shame about the abuse that we're suffering that we don't want to tell our closest friends and family members about the situation that we're in, because we feel as if that's going to make us look a certain way. And of course, because there is such a victim blaming stance in society, we're not that far from the truth, unfortunately. But we have to understand that asking for help in whatever way that we think we can get help, and from someone who's supportive and validating, is a step in the process of owning our true agency, owning our true power. And the third step that I would mention, which has really helped me, I know has helped a lot of survivors conquer and transcend what they've experienced, is change your belief systems about your agency and power. So how do we do that? Well, we do that by tackling that subconscious programming that says that we're not enough, tackling that subconscious programming that says you're not capable, you can't do this, you can't leave this relationship, you're not capable of doing this, you're powerless. All of these things that we say to ourselves every day, all of those negative things in our mind, are not facts. They're just programming. They're just false beliefs that were instilled in us from either childhood or from the relationship, from traumas that we've experienced, that have made us believe in a false sense of learned helplessness. And it's not entirely false, because when we really feel helpless, we are helpless. We're rendered helpless in those types of situations, especially in traumatic situations where we're stuck in fight, flight, and freeze mode, and our stress hormones are just going haywire, and our whole body is reacting to the abuse that we're suffering. Now, I'm not trying to dismiss any of that. I'm not trying to minimize it. I know that many survivors feel paralyzed, and I know that it's not always a false sense of learned helplessness. It's a true sense of learned helplessness. But I think that a lot of the things that we say to ourselves can reinforce and reignite this cycle of feeling helpless 24/7. And I think that we need to carve out time for ourselves to feel powerful, to feel in control. Now, whether that means you're taking a kickboxing class to release your anger, whether that means that you're talking back to your abusers by writing an unsent letter, whether that means that you're, recording positive affirmations about yourself or listening to positive affirmations about yourself. Whether it's writing down the best things people have said about you, whether it's taking a creative writing or art class to channel all of that trauma that can't be spoken into some form of creativity. There's so many things that we can do in order to express what we might not have been powerful enough or felt powerful enough to express. So what are some ways that you can do that? What are some ways that you can do now, do right now actually? Can you take a sketch pad and draw out what you're feeling? Can you write an unsent letter right now? What is that one thing that you can do today that can demonstrate the fact that you do have some power and agency in your life? Because we all have some power and agency. Whether it's, replacing the negative thoughts in our head with just one replacement. Maybe you're consumed by these negative thoughts, and that's, of course, a symptom of the aftermath of an abusive relationship or some sort of trauma. It's all connected to that inner critical voice that we develop after trauma. And it's important for us to acknowledge that, but also acknowledge that maybe there are ways that we can start to combat that. Maybe we can start to replace those negative thoughts that come up, those negative judgments about ourselves, even if they might seem very automatic, and they often are, with positive affirmations. Affirmations that say, I am strong, I am worthy, I am valuable, I am extraordinary, I am capable. So what are those things that we can do, even just starting today? Is there one thing that you can do today to start to own your true agency and power? Maybe it's deleting a social media app that you've been using to compare yourself to others, or to look up your abusive ex-partner. It could be anything. It could be just one simple, small action that you take today to express yourself, to empower yourself, to gain support from the community. What is that one thing? I want you to share it with me in the comments section below. Because I think that we need to strike this balance between acknowledging the effects of trauma and also in owning our agency and power, the agency and power that we do have in our lives, to ask for help, to reframe our belief systems, and to take actions that do empower us. What are those actions that are available to us when we feel as if we are powerless? Now, it can be a very, very small step, just one small step that can pave that path to bigger actions and bigger outcomes. So I hope this video helped to motivate you, to inspire you, and gave you some food for thought. Please do share with me one thing that you can do today to take action and feel as if you are less powerless than what you've been feeling lately, and own your true agency and power. It can be as simple as writing an unsent letter, as expressing yourself through art, as deleting a social media app, or downloading a meditation app. There's so many ways, so many different ways that we can start owning that agency and power. And I want to hear from you. So I will talk to you very soon. Until then, take care. Get my new book on narcissism, Becoming the Narcissist Nightmare: How to Devalue and Discard the Narcissist While Supplying Yourself. Available for pre-order on Amazon. Find the link in the description below. And also be sure to check out my first book, a Kindle bestseller in women's personal growth and spiritual healing, The Smart Girl's Guide to Self-Care.